Welcome to another training session of the PacketStorm 400E Network Emulator. In this training session, I'm going to talk about the routing modes and three of the more advanced features of the network emulator. Let's get started. So at the bottom right hand corner, you see that there's what we present as our three different routing modes. One is our bridging mode, which is the easiest to use, but it does include how it works is by using bridging broadcast packets. So when you're doing your network emulation, you may not want to have those broadcast packets um, in your network. So another mode is our interface mapping mode. And if you select on that, a dialog box pops up and you'll see that the default is the most widely used, where people um, have every packet that comes in A going to B, and the reverse of all packets coming into B going to port A, and the same thing with ports C and D. Now, so that's as I said, the most widely used scenario. But we have more flexibility than that. You can assign any port that you desire. So all packets that are coming in port A will go to D, just like C. All packets in C are going to D. And if you wanted to, you can make B go to D as well. So you have complete flexibility on the output. And then our third mode uh, is what we call routing mode. And that's where you assign IP addresses to the physical emulator ports under the configuration menu. And so it's a little bit tougher because you have to set up those addresses and then set up gateways, and then you have to make sure that your adjacent device is on the same subnet as the emulator port. But it allows you to set up a scenario where other network devices can point to the network emulator since it has an IP address. So we provide all three routing modes to address whatever is the um, best one for your scenario. So those are the three routing modes. Now what I'd like to talk about is three different advanced features. So first to talk about is the fork icon. And the fork icon has four functions. The only one I'm going to be talking about was the most general fork icon, which is called toggle. So a toggle has 5 paths, and the idea here is that you can have different impairment values and different impairments for each of these paths. So think of it as dynamic emulation, where impairment values are changing, or the impairments themselves are changing over time, either by packet counts or by time. So we have on the right side here is where we have the timer and the packet count. And what you do is just double click on your icon and you set up a test. And we have 3 S's there. And under the toggle, you give it a name as well. In this case, I'll match it. And now this icon can be located before or after the toggle. It could be on a particular path, or it can even be on a different link that's down here. So you have total flexibility, and wherever it's located in your network configuration, since it has the same name as the toggle, it's logically connected, and whenever this triggers, wherever it's located at 100 packets, it'll trigger the toggle to go to the next path. Now, toggle has 5 paths, but you don't have to have all 5 paths used. If you're only using, say, paths 1 and 3, then the toggle knows to only circle through paths 1 and 3, and it will ignore paths 2, 3, 4, and 5 that are not connected. So I stored a configuration earlier, so let's go up and open it up. and it's right here. So you see a toggle here where I've got, it's called red, and I've got a timer that's connected to red. And so every 100 milliseconds, I'm going to get delay of 0 milliseconds. And since paths 2, 3, and 4 are not connected, they get ignored, and we just go down to path 5, which then those packets that are going through there at that time will get 80 milliseconds of delay. Also notice that the packet counter here has a name red33. So this packet counter will not affect this toggle. But if we had a network configuration where we had a different toggle and it was a name of red33, when 100 packets go through here, this will then trigger this toggle that might be in a different link called red33. Okay, so that's just a simple usage of the toggle icon. Now, on the right side, we have we have an icon that we call traffic, short for traffic conditioning, and you can see there's a bunch of parameters, and there's 9 different network queues. And when you select a particular network queue, its associated parameters will show up. You give it a name, we'll call it 3Ws, and then uh, in this case, it will be a FIFO queue limiting it to 100 megabits per second. So it's sort of like a throttle, but on steroids. It has a lot more power with all those parameters and 9 different queues. Also, by having a name, you can associate multiple places in your network configuration that will share this icon. So um, so even though it might have, um, again, multiple uh, um, locations in your network diagram, um, all those packets will be acting as if they're going through the same spot. So you could have this filter up here, and this filter could be on a different link, and every packet that's going through here is sharing this bandwidth with packets going through up here. So a scenario where that might be is where um, you have multiple remote offices that they have different cloud characteristics, but then they eventually share that um, uh, internet access pipe going to, say, the server location or the data center. So in the data center, all the links have to share that bandwidth. So this would be an easy way where each of those links would have different cloud characteristics and different impairment values. But when they go to the server or data center, it's going to be sharing that bandwidth. So that's a typical scenario for that. So you'll see that in the link that I have above. There we have a FIFO queue, and I named it QQQ for no particular reason. So let me delete these extra icons. So the last feature I want to mention is the packet tap, start and stop. So they're located over here. So you grab the packet tap and you drop it, and you see the start and stop pop up. And if you click on the start icon, this is where you can give it a name. In this case, I'll call 333. Whoops. And see, sometimes it catches yourself in an error. So gotta start with a letter. Okay, so we'll call it QAA. And um, you can put these again anywhere in the configuration you want. In the example above, I have it at the start of the link and at the end. And if you double click on the stop, you see that it grabs all these statistics. And so I think essentially think of these packet taps as counters. So you're counting packets at the start and at the stop, and then we're doing these calculations off of that. So it's another way of grabbing statistics uh, of the traffic that's going through your network configuration. So I hope you enjoyed this quick training session. We talked about the routing modes, we talked about toggle, we talked about the network queues under traffic conditioning, and then also we rounded it out with packet tap. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.